With me now is Bud Conrad. He's the chief economist over at KC Research, so works very closely with Casey, who we've had on the show quite often. He's also a keynote speaker here at the Metals and Minerals Conference in New York. Bud, good to have you with us.
Great to be here.
Now, Bud, offline we were having some interesting conversations about your thoughts on the US dollar and how it's correlated to gold. Let's get your thoughts.
Well, the simple version is that the dollar is sort of the other side of the teeter-totter, and when prices of gold go up denominated in dollars, it's the dollar that's going down. My look at this is from the more international geopolitical point of view, in that I see that the dollar has played an important role as the reserve currency for decades. But we are heading a new juncture as we move into the U.S. being less dominant on the world stage, as seen through the conflicts in Ukraine, where Russia is positioning itself in a stronger position. And it's really been the U.S. and the conflict with Russia that is affecting a lot of the geopolitical positioning coming up here.
So, Bud, let me ask you, do you think that the US dollar will no longer be the reserve currency? And if so, what will replace the dollar? Or what should replace the dollar?
Well, of course, a person at a gold money conference would say the replacement for dollars is gold. But let's take back a step or two. The dollar, we all knew, was convertible to gold at $35 an ounce till 1971. But after the Yom Kippur War, where the Saudis used oil as a weapon, Kissinger went to them and said, now see here, we're going to have oil denominated in dollars. You'll accept only dollars for purchases of oil. And that gave the dollar a value. The Saudis, in return, said if the price of oil got too high, they would contain it by using their excess reserves to pump even extra oil. And that gave an underpinning to the dollar that other currencies didn't have. That's in potential route now that more central banks of the world are using less dollars as backing their issue of their own currencies.
So, but how do you see gold set up today? Is it a safe haven for you?
More than safe haven, it's really a likely projection of profit for people investing in it, in the sense that I think that the world turning to gold from traditional dollar paper currencies all over the world will have a big effect. I think the Chinese have figured that out. That's why they're importing so much. The Western central banks don't seem to mind the fact that they're losing control of their gold stashes. And I think they're the smart ones that are going to succeed well for their own countries by doing that.
But let me ask you, what is the likelihood of a return to a gold standard?
I don't think it happens unless there's a big crash. The point, though, is I think that a big crash may be more imminent because of our actions of shooting ourselves in the foot, putting sanctions on Russia, putting sanctions on Iran, and other places that make the dollar less attractive. The foreign currency exchanges held by central banks, even in 2000, were 55% of their total in dollars, are now 30%, and I'm predicting in less than 10 years to be at 20%. When we're at 20% only as backing for the issue of the world, we are no longer the strong central reserve currency of the world, and therefore the price of the dollar decreases and the price of gold goes up.
So, but do you believe in the demise of the US dollar? Is that inevitable?
I seem to think so. It shouldn't have to be, but certainly our government has no way, right in the current structure, to fix our budget deficits. The Federal Reserve has no way to support the government except to keep interest rates low so that they can afford to pay the interest on the outstanding debt. Try $20 billion times 10% interest rate, and you have $2 trillion a year interest payment, which is what could happen if the Federal Reserve weren't trying to print things. Our tax revenues are only $2.5 trillion, so you can see that the whole thing explodes at some point.
But let me ask you, biggest mistake the Fed is making in your point of view right now?
Boy, I'm feeling a little Jimmy Rogers bell in the back of my mind. We ought to close it down. The Fed does some things we need to have done, print the currency, but they have far too much power, and I don't think they should be bailing out the big banks and the federal government to the level that they are.
I could talk to you all day, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Been great.
And thanks for watching our continuous coverage here from the Metals and Minerals Conference in New York. We'll have more for you. In the meantime, you can email me comments and questions at newsfeedback@kitco.com. Thanks for watching.